areas of Jefferson County. Today you'll be given the decision of the Commission regarding subdivision request, and the plat representative will receive the decision in writing within 10 business days. Note that any subdivision approved today is not complete. In order to complete the subdivision of your property, the final plat must be recorded in the office of the judge of probate. County staff will be coordinating with the surveyors of today's approved preliminary plats to prepare the approved plats for recording. The Planning and Zoning Commission is also charged with evaluating requests for rezoning of property and advising the County Commission for their final determination. So basically, all decisions made by the Planning and Zoning Commission today regarding zoning cases are advisory only, and the final determination of that zoning is made by the Jefferson County Commission in a subsequent public hearing. Before we begin, I'd ask everybody if you would put your phones on mute or any other devices that make noise and keep them quiet. Thank you. So, may I have a roll call, please?
Ken Lowry.
Here.
Jay Miller.
Here.
Marklin Ziegler.
Present.
Cynthia Donald. Christy Forsythe. Here. Joseph Andrews. Joel Blankenship.
Here.
Kenneth Cush.
Here.
Georgia O'Neill.
Here.
Trudy Strain.
Here.
Mike Thomas. Here. Kenny McMurray.
Here.
Chairman, we have a quorum.
All right, thank you. Next order of business, may I have a motion regarding the reading of the meeting minutes from the June 13th, 2024 public hearing?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion we suspend the rules and approve the minutes as submitted.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, motion passes. So first part of our day will be hearing subdivision cases. The county staff will present the case to the commission, and then we'll call for any opposition. And the applicant or their representative may be asked to come forward to the podium and answer any questions. One thing to note, I may repeat it, so if you forget, try not to forget it. When you come to the podium, my favorite rule, you got to give us your name and your address so we can go in the record for the meeting. So if you come up to talk, name and address, please. All right, so our first subdivision case today is S240034. Mr. Martin?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, this is a proposed subdivision to divide one lot of record into two lots of record for residential and institutional uses. Current use is a church building. You can see here on the satellite image. They are subdividing a residence, I believe it's a parsonage that the church owned, to be able to sell. So this is a two-lot. The Lot 1A was just approved for rezoning to institutional, to corrective zoning that was passed this morning on County Commission, and the Lot 3A is residential. So it does meet all our requirements for those zoning types, and there was a variance that was granted regarding the setbacks because of where the canopy on this church structure was. They did get those variances from the Board of Zoning Adjustment. So staff does recommend approval for this two-lot subdivision.
Okay, thank you. Is the applicant present? All right, thanks. Any opposition to this subdivision case? Any questions from the commissioners? May I have a motion, please?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion for approval of S240034.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? All right, motion passes. Thank you. So our next subdivision case is S240049. Mr. Martin? Oh, let me make a remark note. So if your subdivision case has been heard, you're welcome to exit like the gentleman here is doing. So you don't have to stay for the whole time, but you're welcome to. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I may recuse myself from this case, please.
Okay.
Yes, this case here is at 7501, 7541 Lou Georgia Loop. This subdivision, it's to divide two existing acreage tracts into 31 lots of record for residential development. This case was heard last month in our P&Z meeting. It was approved, however, it was determined that we did not have a full quorum during that vote. So as such, we're going to bring it back here today. It was notified to everyone. Nothing has changed on this plat. There was one change in a location of a stormwater pond, which changed the common area, but substantially it conforms. It's the same layout, same amount of lots. So I won't go to do the full report on this. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them, but staff is still recommending approval for this 31-lot subdivision.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Martin. Is the applicant present? All right, thank you. Is there any opposition to this subdivision case today? And I will note, just for the record, that with one member recusing himself today, we still maintain a quorum. So, all right, very good. So, any questions from the commissioners? May I have a motion, please?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion for approval of S240049.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Motion passes. Thank you. Our next subdivision case is S240050. Mr. Martin.
Yes, sir. This property is at 2674 Mud Creek Road in Adger. The purpose of the subdivision is to convey 2 acreage tracts into 2 lots of record for residential use. These 2 tracts were previously divided improperly from one parent tract. That's why it's 2 tracts becoming 2 lots of record. They do comply with the A1 zoning requirements. There's no traffic or access, road access or traffic operation issues. Right-of-way dedication will be required from Mud Creek Road, where adjacent to the property. No floodplain and no sewer, so the on-site septic system will have to be utilized and approved by the Department of Health. Staff recommends approval for this 2-lot subdivision.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Martin. Is the applicant present? Thank you. Is there any opposition to this subdivision case today? All right, any questions from the commissioners? May I have a motion, please?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion for approval of S240050.
Second.
All right, thank you. I have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? All right, motion passes. Thank you. Our next subdivision case today is S240051. Mr. Martin.
Yes, sir. This property is at 4531 Deer Creek Trail, Bessemer. The purpose of it is to convey 1 acreage tract into 1 lot of record for residential use and 1 conservation lot, not for development. That would be tied to that developable lot by a deed restriction. This property, again, was another property that was previously subdivided improperly. That's why it's a 1-lot subdivision, to bring it in conformance with our regulations. It does comply with all our A1 zoning requirements. No anticipated road access issues here. There will be a minor amount of right-of-way dedication required there along Bluff Ridge Road, where adjacent to the property. And there is floodplain, which is why the conservation lot is unstudied floodplain. But all the floodplain is within that conservation lot, not for development. So no floodplain development permits would have to be pulled on this lot 1. No sewer here, so the Department of Health will have to approve the on-site septic system and sign the final plat. Staff does recommend approval for this 1-lot subdivision.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Martin. Is the applicant here? All right, thank you. Any opposition to this subdivision case? All right, any questions from the commissioners? May I have a motion, please?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion for approval of S240051.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? All right, motion passes. Our next subdivision case is S240052. Mr. Martin.
Yes, sir. This property is at 7829 Bankhead Highway in Dora. Purpose is to split this 1 existing acreage tract into 2 lots of record for residential use. You can see here there is an existing home on the proposed lot 2. It does comply with our A1 zoning requirements. No anticipated road issues here. Right-of-way dedication has already been completed for Bankhead Highway. No floodplain and no sewer here, so the Department of Health will have to approve any on-site septic systems. Staff does recommend approval for this 2-lot subdivision.
Thank you, Mr. Martin. Is the applicant present? All right, welcome. Any opposition to this subdivision case? Any questions from the commissioners? May I have a motion, please?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion for approval of S240052.
Second.
All right, I have a motion, a second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion passes. All right, our next subdivision case is S240053. Mr. Martin?
Yes, sir. This property is at 4595 Barrett Road in Dora. The purpose is to divide the existing acreage tract into 3 lots of record for residential use. You can see here on the aerial and on this proposed plat the existing residences and buildings on this plat. They do comply with our A1 zoning requirements. They all have road frontage. The right-of-way dedication has already been completed for Barrett Road. No floodplain on this property, and again, no sewer available, so all the on-site septic systems will have to be approved by the Department of Health. Staff does recommend approval for the subdivision.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Martin. Is the applicant present? Welcome back again. So, is there any opposition to this subdivision case? Any questions from the commissioners? All right, may I have a motion, please?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion for approval of S240053.
Second.
All right, I have a motion, a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, motion passes. So the next case is a little different. So I'm going to call it, it's a subdivision case S240054. At the request of the applicant, this has been postponed, but if anybody's here in opposition of this case and would like to speak, you're welcome to come up. Is there any opposition for this case? All right, so we're just going to, Andrew, just going to move on to the next one. All right, very good. Okay, so again, S240054 is postponed. It will be renoticed, just for the record, when it is rescheduled. All right, so next subdivision case is S240055. Mr. Martin?
Yes, sir. The purpose of this subdivision is to divide 1 acreage tract and 1 lot of record into 150 lots of record for residential development. This is on Shannon Road and Triple H Ranch Road in Bessemer. It was recently approved for a rezoning to RG by the Jefferson County Commission. This was late last year, or excuse me, February of this year. So the proposed subdivision does meet all the requirements for RG zoning in terms of minimum lot size, as well as there were some required conditions from the rezoning case regarding buffers, 25-foot buffer on the eastern side next to the Freestone Ridge community, as well as a condition of no lot being within 25 feet of an existing residential lot, which it does. It does comply with all of that. There has been some late discussion about the access points or secondary access to Shannon Road. Currently, there is an access point. The main access point would be off of the Triple Ranch Road location, which would also require some improvements to Shannon Road for that intersection. And then again, as I mentioned, there has been some recent discussion about the secondary access. Currently, right now, the access is shown as just an emergency access, which would be gated and coming into the cul-de-sac there at the end. There would be some right-of-way dedication required based on those improvements. No floodplain, and there is sanitary sewer available to this property, so it would be approved by Environmental Services. You can see here where they are attaching to sanitary sewer here in the south part of the property. The staff, based on some concerns about the secondary access and it being temporary, the staff's recommendation would be to approve with a modification to the plat to provide a full secondary access to that development. So that's the discussion point that was had during the pre-meeting.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Martin. I will note that the commission did receive a letter from the Ross Bridge Neighborhood Association with a number of questions and concerns. We discussed it in pre-meeting. Just to for the record that we've seen it and had a chance to review it before we begin. So I'd like to see if there's any opposition to this case.
I just have a question.
Okay, hang on. So we've got follow procedure, so everybody come up to the podium, give your name and address, and ask away.
John Rhodes, my address is 1721 Shannon Road.
Okay, Mr. Rhodes, what's your question?
Okay, so what y'all were up to vote for today is to, instead of having that be an emergency exit, it's going to be a full-fledged entrance and exit to the community. Is that what I'm hearing?
So the recommendation from the county engineer is the secondary exit needs to be a, what's the right words, Mr. Cush?
Full access.
A full access. It won't be a temporary or emergency exit or entrance.
Okay, so that would be an entrance and exit from Triple H Ranch Road and onto Shannon Road.
Is that correct, Mr. Cush?
Triple H Ranch already has an access point onto Shannon.
Right.
It would require an additional point of access besides the one at Triple H Ranch.
Okay. Another question that I had, this is going to probably indicate if there's 150 lots, possibly 300 people coming in and out every day. If it's a two-car, it could be more. And these children are zoned for Jefferson County. Is it McAdory?
I'm not sure about the school zoning, but it is zoned for Jefferson County
I'm a
schools.
retired teacher, so one of the things that we did at Hoover is we looked at the impact that it was going to be on the community and of where they were going to go. And so that would mean bus traffic and 300 extra people. I'm not sure that Shannon Road can handle that. But,
So,
I mean, that's just a question that I have. I mean,
So-
there has to be, and I agree, two entrances to going in that. One entrance, it'll be a bottleneck every morning and afternoon. And I'm just concerned about the traffic on Shannon Road, really, because it's already from 8 o'clock, and at 5 o'clock, it's just pretty much, bumper to bumper through there. And so I'm not in opposition of subdivision there, just maybe figure out some better way to get in and out. I don't know if Ross Bridge, I know they have more than one entrance and exit to get in there because of the number of houses.
okay.
But that's basically my concern. Also, too, my property is adjoining where the buffer zone is. Is this the sewer right here? Yeah, right there. Is that I'd like to know where that is in relation to my wife. I mean, I'm real selfish here. I'm sorry.
Well,
I'm
Mr.
just
Rhodes, if you look
concerned
at the
with
map, Mr. Martin's showing you.
Approximately right here.
Okay. So that's at the very, very back corner. Okay, and I'm at that long section right there at the top, right through there. Okay. I was just concerned. I just want some clarification on that.
Okay. And regarding your questions, Roads and Transportation has reviewed this, and they're making the necessary adjustments to ensure that we have safe traffic.
Yes.
So,
Okay, so the entrance is it going to be like an entrance and an exit part, or just one road coming out? Or I mean, the person that is right beside it probably is concerned about it too. Understandable. But anyway, that was just my question.
okay, good questions, and we've been addressing them as we've been going along, so thank you. Is there anyone else as opposition? All right, is the applicant present? Well, if this was the price is right, would you come on down and give us your name and address?
I'm Joe Schifano with Engineering Design Group, 120 Bishop Circle in Pelham, Alabama. And I guess the biggest point that we've just discussed would be that secondary access becoming a full access. And in discussions with the development team, we don't really have the ability to say yes or no, we agree to that at this point, and there are a lot of reasons for that. The two neighbors that live on either side that share the driveway that we would be overtaking and replacing with a full-width county road, the discussions and the character of our discussions with them for months and months, as this has gone from rezoning and to engineering design and to preliminary plat, has been that there is going to be absolutely no other traffic on this road other than emergency access purposes only. We are not going to be building a full access through your front yard. So that's something that could pose a large problem with us and the neighbors and the things that we promised to them through this process. And we offered this emergency access up through in zoning and have carried it through, and then today is the first time we've heard that. We also have traffic reports that indicate what improvements need to be made to the next intersection where up here at Triple H Ranch Road and Shannon Road. Well, moving and creating this second access, well, that changes the entire character of that traffic report. So we may be splitting the traffic in different directions and no longer making those turn lanes that we are talking about building necessary, or we may be building full turn lanes in front of these existing homes here where the secondary access is coming in. So there are a lot of thoughts that I have when that kind of a change is presented in a meeting format. We just haven't had the chance to evaluate those things.
Okay, so we had a big discussion, a really big discussion in pre-meeting about this. And it's the position of the county engineer that this is a safety issue, and hence the requirement for the second ingress egress. And so that's not going to go away. And I understand your challenges, so we can have some more discussion, but we were looking at two options in pre-meeting. Either giving you a chance to carry this over and regroup, or we can vote on it with and put a condition on it that requires the secondary access. So, but that's where we're at, but I'll let you think about that. I'd like to give the commissioners a chance to ask any other questions.
Sure.
Okay. So maybe Mr. Cush, you want to go first? You got anything else?
No, not at this time.
Okay.
We have yet to review any traffic impact studies. I did get your email from last evening about the left turn, how to make the intersection at Shannon and Triple H work. Those seem appropriate.
Okay.
So in the turn, and to ask a quick question back, in terms of the traffic impact study, are you speaking in terms of the new recommendation that you've made today? Because I think we did submit a traffic impact study with our zoning case that addressed that intersection.
Andrew or Mr. Brown, did you do the zoning case for us? Do you remember? Sorry, my recall's not that great on past cases, so.
I think it was in February. It was approved. So it was submitted many months ago, so it easily could have been forgotten. But anyway,
But a secondary access would definitely divide your traffic.
Okay. Is there any other questions from the commissioners?
I'd like to clarify. Are you asking temporarily carry this over to the next meeting so you can have further discussions in light of the new information?
likely that I will be. I'll be asking my development team in just a minute
Sure.
how they want to proceed.
Sure. We understand that this was a new aspect brought up to you, and but apparently there might need to be bigger discussions happening, and we apologize for that occurring.
Yeah, it does seem like a small request, but it has big impacts.
Little things move into big things, especially when we're playing around with boundary lines.
Yeah. And I expect that, personally, I wasn't aware of the logistics on your secondary access point with the adjoining neighbors. So I understand the challenges. Would you like us to pause for a few minutes and let you confer?
Yes.
And is that enough, or do you want some time, and we can postpone your case for a minute, or pause it and move on with the agenda and come back at the end for you?
Could we come back at the end of subdivision to discuss this?
Yes, we can do that. All right, so I'm not sure I get the exact parliamentary procedure down right, so if y'all correct me. Yes?
I think it would be a motion to table that, since I'm making the motion, I can then motion to bring it back up off the table at the end of the subdivision.
All right, very good. All right, so
I will make a motion to table, understanding that I promise you I'll bring it up at the end of the subdivision.
Thank you.
all right, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Have a second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? All right, motion passes to table and revisit at the end of the subdivision cases.
Thank you.
All right, if you want to step outside and caucus, that'd be great. All right, thank y'all for helping us get through this one. Our next subdivision case is S240056. Mr. Martin.
Yes, sir. This property is at 7456 Franklin Drive in Bessemer. The purpose of this subdivision is to resurvey one existing lot of record, one lot and a portion of another into one lot for residential use. Essentially, this is it's somewhat of a cleanup case here. There's existing residence and existing garage had burnt down on this property, and a portion of the lot was a part of an old lot there. This is an old survey from 1965, and so this is a resurvey into one lot to bring it into compliance. It does comply with all the R2 zoning requirements. Obviously, no road access issues here, no right-of-way dedication, no floodplain, and no public sewer here. So the Department of Health will have to sign the final plat, and we would recommend approval for this one-lot subdivision.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Martin. Is the applicant present? All right, thank you. Any opposition to this subdivision case? Any questions from the commissioners? May I have a motion, please?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion for approval of S240056.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, motion passes. Thank you. Next subdivision case is S240058. Mr. Martin.
Yes, sir. This property is at 6070 Blue Creek Road. This is a resurvey of two existing lots of record. It's a very rural area. They're simply moving a boundary line to include an existing home and a driveway that's on that lot 2A there. So again, this is a boundary relocation more than anything. It does comply with our A1 zoning minimum lot requirements, minimum size requirements. But prior to the final plat being recorded, we will need to confirm that with the survey that the existing residence does meet the setback requirements. It should, based on where it's showing now, but we do need to confirm that. There's no anticipated road access or traffic operation issues here. Right-of-way's already been dedicated. No floodplain, and again, no sewer here, so the Department of Health will have to approve the final plat. Staff does recommend approval for this two-lot resurvey.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Martin. Is the applicant here? All right, thank you. Any opposition to this subdivision case? Any questions from the commissioners? May I have a motion, please?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion for approval of S240058.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? All right, motion passes. Thank you. Our next subdivision case today is S240059. Mr. Martin.
Yes, sir. This property is at 3000 Leo Lane. This is in Trustville. The purpose is to convey a portion of an acreage tract into one lot of record for residential use. It does comply with our minimum lot requirements for A1. There's a note that the remaining portion of this parent tract will need to be platted before any development permits can be pulled on it. This is only one lot. It does need to be two at some point in the future. The easement, which is not currently shown on this particular plat, has been proposed to connect to the existing public road, so it has an easement connection. It does not have any road frontage, so an exception to the subdivision regulations will have to be, to allow Lot 1 to be recorded no road frontage would have to be granted by the commission. As well, the city of Trussville has jurisdiction within a portion of this lot here on the southern part. As such, and because it does access a city of Trussville street, the engineer representative for Trussville will have to sign the final plat on this. There's no
Mr. Martin,
right
could you,
dedication here.
Mr. Martin, could you repeat that a little bit? I didn't hear the city of Trussville engineer. What was their response?
That's right. Because this parcel, you see on our zoning map, the city of Trussville actually has jurisdiction within the southern half of this lot, and it'll actually access off of their street. They'll have to sign the final plat. It doesn't require any kind of planning and zoning commission approval over there, but it does require their engineer to sign the final plat. So one note of interest on that one. Other than that, staff does recommend that approval with that exception.
Okay, thank you. Is the applicant present? All right, welcome. Any opposition to this subdivision case? Any questions from the commissioners? May I have a motion, please?
Mr. Chairman, I recommend, make a motion for approval of S240059 with the exception to the subdivision regulations to allow Lot 1 to be recorded with no road frontage.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? All right, motion passes. Ms. Hughes, could we pause for a moment? We said we would see if Mr. Schifano was ready after the subdivision cases. Would somebody step out and see if they're ready or if we need to keep rolling?
I'm thinking tall.
No, I'm sorry. Did you? Were they ready? Are they ready? Oh, I'm sorry. It threw me off. We didn't rush you, did we? Do you need some more time?
No, we're good.
All right, so,
What's the case number on those at 555? Mr. Chairman, I hereby move that we take case number S-24-0055 up from the table for purposes of reconsidering it.
all right, I have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? All right, motion passes. We have taken up S-24-0055 from the table and reconsider. So I think the point of discussion was, for Mr. Schifano, was would you like to carry this over to revisit or reconsider your subdivision plan, or would you like for us to vote on it with condition for the secondary access?
So understanding that this recommendation is not going to change if we were to postpone for a month, we would like for you to go ahead and consider it with the condition of the secondary access.
Okay, all right, very good. So just for properness, I'll call for opposition again. Was there anyone in opposition to the subdivision case? Any further questions from the commissioners? County engineering? All right, may I have a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion for approval of S240055 with a modification to the plat to provide a full secondary access to the development.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion passes. Thank you for your patience with us.
Thank you.
All right, so that concludes our subdivision cases today. Next, we're going to hear zoning cases. The county staff will present each case to the commission, and then we'll call for opposition. The applicant or their representative may be asked to come forward to the podium and answer any questions. Each side will have a maximum of 15 minutes, and my trusty timekeeper, Commissioner Miller, will keep us on track there. And just to remind you, like I said in the beginning, the Planning and Zoning Commission only makes recommendations on zoning cases to the Jefferson County Commission. So we'll start off with our first rezoning case, which is Z220034.
3-2.
3-2.
Okay.
So sorry.
3-2.
So I have two different scripts, and that one's not on my script.
Okay.
So it's Z240032.
Okay. This property is located at 636 Crumley Chapel Road in the Forestdale area. The applicant is requesting to rezone this property from R4 multifamily to A4 agriculture for compliance of existing farm use, pretty much chickens. Here we have the location map, just giving you a general idea where this property is located within Jefferson County. This is our zoning maps. To the left, we have the current zoning. The property in question is the property with the bold black line around it. It's currently zoned R4 multifamily. There's approximately 2.44 acres. On the property, there are chickens and a few accessory structures. South of this property is R4 as well. Both of these properties were zoned R4 in 1974 for apartments, but the apartments were never constructed. To the north of this property is R2 single-family zone district. Chickens are not allowed in the R2 nor the R4. To the northwest, we have the R3 zone district. Chickens are not allowed in the I3 zone district. And to the southwest, the property is on I3, light industrial utility. Chickens are not allowed in this zone district either. Just across Crumley Chapel Road right here, this is the A1 zone district. This property is zone A1. Chickens are allowed in A1 as well as any farm animals. On this property is a single-family residence. There are some accessory structure, and the owner has horses. In this near area, if you look at the map over to the left here, it shows that not far from this area here, there is a one-zone district right off Pratt Highway. There is no future land use designation for this property. This is the area view to the right. These are a couple of pictures that were submitted with the application from the applicant. Shows the chicken coop, shows an accessory structure, actually shows about 2 accessory structures. We have received a couple of letters of opposition, and these pictures were included with that. If you notice, there has been an addition to the accessory structure. These are pictures of the chickens showing that the chickens are actually in someone else's yard and at their back door. This is a brief summary and recommendation. As I mentioned earlier, there are chickens. The applicant states that there's approximately 12 chickens, a few accessory structures, all on 2.44 acres. They are not visible from the road. The applicant will potentially build a house at this property at a later date. The multifamily R4 zone district does not allow chickens. A1 does. So A1 zone district will bring this property in compliance. There is the A1 zone district, like I said, adjacent to it right across Crumley Chapel Road and in the near area of Pratt Highway. There is no future land use plan. Therefore, we look at the compatibility from the area. Staff is recommending approval with 2 conditions. One, that the chickens must be kept in an enclosed area, and the other is that no commercial housing shall be allowed. That's all I have for you, sir.
Okay. Thank you very much, Ms. Hughes. Is the applicant present? All right, thank you. Would you like to add anything to Ms. Hughes' presentation? Okay. Is there any opposition here? Okay. I'd like to come up, before you do, I just want to make 2 remarks. So the commission did receive 2 letters of opposition, one from Ms. Hargrove and Mr. Ellis, and also from Mr. and Mrs. Best. And we've seen those and considered those today already. Please tell us your name and address, please.
I'm Gayla Schultz, and I'm representing my mother. She's at 620 Crumley Chapel Road. Her property is directly down the hill from the property that has the chickens. And my mother's 82, and they started with 30 chickens. We counted them. We had 30 chickens ascend down to our property, pooping up all the grounds and the yard, and it was a horrible mess. we're concerned that they want to make it a commercial chicken operation up there because they've built this big pavilion with a dirt floor that they could easily screen in. You saw the picture. The chickens are a big problem coming down the hill. And if you've ever been in the country, when it rains, chicken houses don't smell nice. So, I mean, my family has lived there since the 40s. There's no reason for this to be agricultural land. We've had horses there, we've had chickens there, but we kept them confined. We kept them clean. These guys are all over our property, and it's a big problem. So I don't see why it should be zoned agricultural for a few backyard chickens. Everybody around us has some kind of farm animals, but not every yard is zoned agricultural.
Okay.
But that's our opposition.
Yes, Mike?
I would just like to state that it's due to the zoning, residential zoning does not allow for any keeping of fowl at all. Nor does it allow for keeping of any livestock. That's the reason, that's the purpose of every zoning request.
So, for example, what Michael's saying is if individuals that have property there and they're keeping farm animals and it's not zoned A1, it's in violation of the zoning ordinance. So that's why we're considering this today, so they can
So
keep.
if it's rezoned and they still lose, then what?
Say that one more time.
So if it's rezoned to agricultural and they don't keep the chickens where they're supposed to be, then what?
We're actually making
Nothing's going to be done
We're actually
then.
making that a requirement of the rezone.
Well, they're not fenced in now. The chicken coop is open and the chickens are all about.
There's a zoning enforcement issue that's outside.
We'll give you a minute, okay? So,
Anyway, that's our opposition.
no, we understand.
And then
We understand your issues.
the big
Okay.
pavilion with the dirt floor, have they been questioned as to what they're going to do with that?
Well, they're coming up next. So you tell us your questions and we'll get some answers. Okay.
Okay, the smell. The wind blows downhill from where that is. Health hazards, disease, and flies from all the chicken manure. Are they going to kill chickens up there for food? Are they going to raise chickens commercially? Or is it just a few, 13 chickens? There's 13 chickens now, but they started with 30. The property's not fenced. And I think the distance, what is the required distance for a chicken coop in the property line?
I believe it's 300 foot from the roadway.
Ms. Hughes, will you come up to the mic so everybody can hear you, please?
For commercial chickens, it must be a minimum of 100 feet from the property line, but these aren't commercial chickens. They just have a...
Yeah, but are they going to be commercial?
Well, we're going to get some answers to the questions. Ms. Hughes, before you sit down, if it's not commercial, is
And the
there
roosters make
hang on,
sense.
I'm not finished. So, Ms. Hughes, is there a requirement for setback for non-commercial?
Not to my knowledge.
So really, they could
It would just fall, it would just be considered as an accessory structure
right, which would have a setback requirement.
of 5 feet from the rear side property.
Okay, so 5 feet setback would be for a non-commercial structure. So now, sorry, I know you talked and cut me off. You can go back with your question.
Another problem is the noise they make, the roosters and all the noise they make in the neighborhood. You got 50 chickens crowing at 3 o'clock in the morning. That's not nice. They're in your back door. The sanitation, what are they going to do with the chicken manure? I guess that's all.
Okay, I was curious. You mentioned that.
We've never had anybody in the neighborhood. My family's been there from the 40s. We've never had anybody there with 30 chickens ever. So, I mean, how would you like to live in front of somebody with 30 chickens with roosters crowing all morning?
I had a
They're
neighbor.
running down and pooping all over your yard. And my mom's 82. She's gonna fall down in chicken poop. You know what I'm saying?
I think you got some other concerns other than just the zoning on this. I mean, zoning is zoning. We're here to talk about the zoning, whether they can have it or not. As for chickens trespassing on property and everything,
So you're going to do it anyway, so I guess it doesn't matter.
Okay. Is there anybody else in opposition that would like to speak? All right. Would you come up? I know we have some questions for you. And by the way, I know you've got a handful on your, so we'll try to get through it. No, it's okay. Will you tell us your name and address, please?
My name is Julia Saucedo. Address is 636 Crumley Chapel Road. I'm ready for the question.
Okay. So tell us a little bit about what you're doing with the property now and what your future plans are.
Okay.
And would you talk into the mic a little bit, make sure everybody can hear?
Okay. Sorry. Can y'all hear me now?
Yes, thank you.
When we bought that property, we first bought it just like my parents. It's actually for my parents. They're Hispanic. They like to live like very country, very out. They live in Midfield now. They want to see if in the future they get to move there. They're still thinking about it. They really like their property to move there. We don't want to do no commercial chickens there. The chickens were a gift. And because where we live, it wasn't enough space, so we thought that space was big enough. I do understand where she's coming from, like that, they're all everywhere. So that we could address that. Like I could talk with my parents about that so that they won't be in everyone's property. But no, we're not doing any commercial chickens.
Okay. I have a couple of questions. I think the commissioners may as well. So in addition, I saw some photographs. So the chicken coop, it's you got a coop and it's fenced in, but I guess are the chickens escaping or are they just?
So the chicken coop is for them to sleep in, and so usually because my dad works, my mom also works, so they can't be there all day because there's no power, no water there. So they let them out so that they could be free. Because my parents never really thought it was going to be a hassle. We never, at least to my knowledge, we never got like anything, like, no one came to tell us anything. Actually, one time, we never went to go open the chicken little poop, and it was already open when we went. And they said a neighbor had done it. So, we thought the neighbors liked it. Like, we thought it was okay with the neighbors. We never knew it was.
Okay. Well, you get the idea now. It's not, right?
Yeah,
okay.
I get it.
Okay. So I saw in the photographs also a couple different structures, just like a pole barn and maybe a storage shed. Can you tell me about those?
Yeah. So he's trying to have like a carport to like whenever, if we do move in the future, well, they would move. They have somewhere to park their cars underneath, and they could be protected. But it's really more for like whenever there's rain or something, they're under the weather.
Okay. So I heard there were 30 chickens, and now there's less than 30. What happened to your other chickens?
We don't know.
Okay.
They started dying. We want to say that was also like a problem, because I did tell my parents that was a problem, them like leaving them out for so long, because we're not there all day. Like I usually go sometimes and close them up, but throughout the day, we don't know if, another animal comes and eats them or they die.
Yeah. So, okay. So, and what we're considering today is if we recommend approval to the county commission that you keep the chickens in an enclosed area and don't let them roam the property. And that if you're going to build anything, including a shed or anything, that you have to get a building permit.
Yes, sir.
And that you're not going to open up a commercial chicken operation on the property.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Those sound okay so far?
Perfect.
You have any questions about it?
No, I did start the process of the permit, but I did tell my dad to stop work until we get the permits approved.
Okay. And I'll thank you for answering my questions. Did you want to add anything earlier to the questions?
Oh, no, I was just going to say it wasn't for commercial. I just wanted to clarify that before anything.
All right. I'd like to ask the commissioners if you have any questions for the applicant.
I do.
Okay. Jay beat you by a hair.
fine.
Mr. Miller?
Commissioners with questions.
What size chicken coop are you planning on building?
So there's already a chicken coop.
Ma'am,
There's already one. It was on the picture.
about what size is it?
I'm not sure. It's
It looked like it wasn't very big.
yeah, it wasn't pretty big, but they're also not planning to put more chickens in it, so they don't really want to make a bigger one for the because they don't like I said they don't want to keep like a huge amount of chickens there because it's not really.
What do you mean by huge? What numbers are you talking about consistently?
Like I want to say maybe like 20 chickens at most.
20 chickens.
At most, like I don't know, like if we are different as Hispanics, but we like to just like keep like a lot of chickens around, just to have them.
Are you planning on putting any other animals in there, farm animals?
No,
Just chickens?
just chickens.
Okay. All right. You're it.
All right. Ms. Salcido?
Yes,
Is
sir.
that correct? All right. So how did the structure get on the property? The chicken coop, how'd it get there?
Oh, it was already there.
It was there before you bought the property?
Yes, there was actually a whole bunch of things on the property. It was someone that lives down the hill, not sure who it is, but had a whole bunch of belongings up there. We actually had to tell him we had to do I forgot what it's called, whenever they have a restriction order, because they would take.
Restraining order?
Yes, they would. We had to do that because they would take belongings to the property there.
Okay.
And so.
People were dumping things on the property.
I'm sorry?
People were putting things on your property.
It was a one person.
Okay.
And
So somebody else had left the structure in there.
he didn't live there. He didn't
So you
own.
left it there.
Oh yes.
Okay. And y'all are expanding beyond it.
Like
Building a barn.
what my dad is building there is just to put the cars underneath. It's not for the chickens.
And is he building an enclosure for the chickens?
For the chickens,
Yeah.
it's all closed up. The one that there is already.
Well, it wasn't because they were getting out.
It has like a little door you can open and let them out, and then once they're ready to go to sleep, that's what we
No,
usually do.
well, I'm talking about fencing it in, because you're letting chickens run wild right now, right?
Like the whole property.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. That could be a solution.
Because chickens are running wild,
I got you.
getting on other people's land, right?
Mhm.
You said y'all want to have 20 chickens. Why do you need 20 chickens?
Like if you ever want to eat one.
So you're raising chickens to eat?
Somewhat. Not-
Personally, or to sell to other people?
No, like personally. Like we have not ate a single one of them that are there.
Okay.
They actually they just had babies. We actually what we like
So
to
the chickens
eat.
have multiplied.
There's 4 that
So
just
you've
multiply.
gone from 30 to 13, now up to 17.
Yeah. Well,
They're actively having, they're actively, you're breeding chickens on the property, or chickens are breeding on the property.
what we actually like to keep the chickens for is the eggs.
Okay. How many hens versus how many roosters?
There's 2 roosters, I know that.
Okay, so by deduction, there'd be 11 hens.
Hmm.
So you're getting, how many eggs a day?
Like 8 eggs a day.
Okay. How many members of your family?
7.
You going out and maintaining that property every day?
Yes, we go
Live
every day.
animals.
I'm sorry?
They're live animals. So you're going out there every day?
Every single day.
Your parents are considering moving out.
Yes.
So they bought the property as separate farm.
I'm sorry?
They bought property as separate land for the intention of farming, right? Yes?
Yes.
But they didn't check the zoning requirements on it when they did it?
No.
And they see that there are other houses out there,
Yes.
people living.
Yes.
But they have not decided if they're going to move out there to help maintain that property.
Well, we first wanted to see if it was permitted, like if a mobile home was permitted,
You already
because
put stuff out there, so you didn't check to see if you could put chickens out there the first time.
Yeah, well, I honestly wouldn't have thought that that property would be for apartments. Like because I mean, everything's like out, spaced out. I honestly, in my mind, it would have never came up to me thinking their apartments could go there.
You got a deed on it though when you bought the property, like there's a deed or anything?
Yes.
So they should have told you that when you bought the property. And it was closing attorney for 10 years. I know that they tell you that when you're buying the property. But you're saying that you were never told this.
We bought it off like taxes.
You bought a tax deed on the property.
Yes.
Have you acquired a title to that tax deed yet?
We're on the process.
Okay, so you have a tax deed title to this property, right? Okay. This goes back to, if they only have tax deed title to this property, I don't know that they have standing to ask for rezoning of the property at this time. Without there being clear title to the property, a simple tax deed interest does not grant you actual title to the property until a quiet title process has been completed. Clear title based upon the deed restrictions. You only have a tax deed, you don't have title to this property.
Mr. Blankenship?
Yes, sir.
Uh,
I apologize, it's a concern to me that you're potentially rezoning somebody else's property.
I'd like to ask a question to clarify that. So for staff, so Mr. Brown or Connie or Michael, did we check to see ownership before we?
In tradition, we've allowed people who have tax deeds to file for rezoning.
We allow tax deed owners to file rezoning.
Yes, we've done that as long as I've been here.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Without quieting title, though.
Correct.
Established practice.
Okay. All right. You have anything else, Mr. Blankenship?
No, sir, I don't.
All right. Thank you. Good questions. I appreciate the discussion from everybody. Any other questions?
I think you have one right here, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. I have a question.
I was wondering, she gave your address at 636 Crumley Chapel Road. You don't actually live there. You just have your chickens there. So what would be your game plan for, your final plan for this property? Are you going to build a house on it, or are you going to raise chickens?
Like I said at the beginning, if we could, I would like to check on that beforehand, to see if we could put a mobile home there, and if we can, we would move a mobile home there so that they can live. My parents would live there, basically.
Okay. All right. Any other questions for the applicant? Okay. Thank you. Thank you for your time. We're going to discuss and make a motion. Okay. So I'm going to close the public hearing and see if there's any discussion for the commissioners.
So, Mr. Chairman, I have a question for staff. So this is probably the most interesting case I've heard since I've been here. My question is, what would be the process if a neighbor complains? So if we do approve the change of zoning and they don't comply with putting the restrictions on the chickens, what is the process for a neighbor to complain? How does that work? How do they get someone to address their concerns?
It would be a zoning violation at that point.
Okay.
And we would begin the process for criminal prosecution.
Okay, so if they don't comply,
Ultimately.
it could lead to criminal prosecution.
So in other words, if your chickens get on my property and
Right.
you're not supposed to have them there, I'll call the county zoning enforcement and they'll come out and see if the chickens are indeed on your property, and then they'll take care of the process through the courts to.
That's correct. There's a period that we allow for compliance.
Right.
For them to come into compliance, and then after that point is expired, we'll file for a warrant for their arrest.
I got you. Okay.
And then court date is set and fines are assessed by district court.
And that's the same process you do if somebody starts building without getting a building permit, right?
That's correct.
Okay.
So, all right. Good question.
Learn something every day around here.
Any other questions or discussions from the commissioners? Mr. Blankenship?
Yes, sir. I don't have anything further. I mean, I want to talk to staff certainly after to understand.
Okay.
I have concerns.
And I don't mean to call you out. I can't read your body language from up
It's
here.
okay. No, I have concerns. But,
Okay. Anyone else? All right. So may I have a motion on this rezoning case?
Mr. Chairman, in regards to the case, rezoning case Z24-0032, there are a lot of discrepancies and unknowns in this case that I've heard here, but the main thing I'm looking at, the zoning, is that the Jefferson County has a land use plan, and the county's future land use map does not provide for a proposed land use for this designated for this site. In other words, it's not in compliance with the long-term plans of Jefferson County's use. And with that in mind, I'm going to make a motion to be denied.
Second.
All right, I have a motion, a second. Would you please call the roll? And if you vote yea, you're voting for denial.
Ken Lowry,
Nay.
Jay Miller,
Yay, yes. Denial.
Marklin Sigler,
Nay against denial.
Cynthia Donald,
Yay.
Chrissy Forsythe,
Nay.
Joseph Andrews,
Nay.
Joel Blankenship,
Yes, denied.
Kenneth Kush,
Yes.
Georgia O'Neill,
Nay.
Trudy Strang, Mike Thomas, Kenny McMurray.
Yes.
5-7.
Pretty close.
Let's close.
5-7.
8 nays, 4 yes.
Okay, so motion fails to pass for denial. May I have another motion?
Somebody that voted against denial needs to vote to approve.
But you,
That is correct.
That motion.
do you mind?
Yeah, that is correct. I'm just trying to find what case it is.
It's the first one, 2432. We're working on it. Hang on just a second.
You gonna make a motion for approval?
So here's the three things. So Kevin closed areas, cease working on property, and no commercial chicken operation.
All right, Mr. Chairman, I make a motion for approval on case number Z240032 with the following conditions. Number one, the chickens must be kept in an enclosed area to avoid roaming the neighborhood and trespassing on others' property. Two, the applicant should cease all work on property until a building permit is obtained. And three, no commercial chickens allowed.
Mr. Martin, did you have a question? No commercial chicken operation allowed. All right, I have a motion. May I have a second?
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Would you please call the roll again? And a yea is in favor of approval this time.
Ken Lowry,
Yea.
Jay Miller,
Nay.
Marklin Sigler,
Yay.
Cynthia Donald,
Nay.
Chrissy Forsythe,
Yay.
Joseph Andrews,
Yay.
Joel Blankenship,
Nay.
Kenneth Kush,
Nay.
Georgia O'Neill,
Yay.
Trudy Strang,
No.
Mike Thomas, Kenny McMurray.
Nay.
I don't know that one. What's the result? Go ahead and tell us.
Yeah.
Did everybody vote? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right, so we had a tie, so somebody changed their mind in the middle.
Yeah, somebody changed their mind.
So do you mind, could we have a recount? Would you recall the roll again just to make sure we got it correct? Let me get focused. So yay for approval.
Nay.
Yes for approval.
Nay.
Yay. Yes.
Joseph Andrews. Joel Blankenship.
Nay.
Kenneth Kush.
Nay.
Georgia O'Neill.
Yes.
Trudy Strang. Mike Thomas. Kenny McMurray.
Nay.
That's a tie. Okay, this is the most interesting one I've had in a while.
It is.
So,
I mean, it would just be forwarded to the county commission with no recommendation.
I'm trying to remember. So, in I'm going to. Would you call the roll one more time? I'm going to solve this myself.
Ian Lowry.
Abstain.
Not necessarily.
Nay. Deny.
Someone else could.
Marklin Sigler.
Yay, approval.
Cynthia Donald.
Nay, deny.
Christy Forsythe.
Yes.
Joseph Andrews.
Yay.
Joel Blankenship.
Nay.
Kenneth Kush.
Nay.
Georgia O'Neill.
Yes.
Trudy Strang.
No.
Mike Thomas. Kenny McMurray.
Nay.
6 nays. 5 yes.
So the motion still fails.
Motion fails.
Correct. So it would just be forwarded, at this point, it would just be forwarded to the county commission with no recommendation.
Can we
No.
can we make a motion to forward to the county commission? I mean, it's
Well-
getting forward whether it's recommended against.
Well, so
Would the motion be to forward to the county commission along with the results of the roll call vote?
Yeah, oh, yes, all that we provide.
So in other words,
Anytime there's a split vote, we get
no
it.
recommendation, forward to the county commission along with the results of the roll call vote to show the division of this committee.
Okay.
Give the motion.
All right. So I didn't officially call it for the record, so the motion failed, all right, from the vote. So I would, since the tide seems to have changed, I would actually entertain a motion for denial.
I'll make a motion for denial.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
All right, would you call the roll? You're getting lots of practice today, I know.
Denial means yes.
Yes is to deny, no is to not deny.
Ian Lowry.
Abstain.
Jay Miller.
Yes, deny.
Marklin Sigler.
No against denial.
Cynthia Donald.
Yes.
Christy Forsythe.
No.
Joseph Andrews.
No.
Joel Blankenship.
Yes, deny.
Kenneth Kush.
Yes, denial.
Georgia O'Neill.
No.
Trudy Strang.
Yes, denial.
Mike Thomas. Kenny McMurray.
Yes.
Yay.
So 6 yeas, 5 noes, 1 abstain, motion passes for denial, recommendation to deny. Thank you all for your patience. I know the applicant left. Can somebody go out and, Andrew, and notify her? And please tell her that this was probably the most difficult case to decide that I have seen in 13 or 14 or 15 years.
The most difficult one I've seen.
So, okay, everybody take a deep breath. Okay, that was our first rezoning case. Our second one is Z240033. Mr. Brown.
Yes, sir. This is a rezoning request, Mr. Chairman, from agricultural to industrial to allow an office warehouse at the location 6874 North Old Highway 31 in the Gardendale area. The applicant is Joshua Eden of Sealy Services. So this property is within the Black Warrior River watershed, and within Census Tract 117, Block 2, there are approximately 1,031 persons. County's future land use plan identifies this property with two different zoning classifications, single-family residential as well as general transition or mixed use. The existing conditions for the surrounding area is, again, the properties within Black Warrior River watershed. There's a dry stream bed along the eastern border of the site, which is here. Adjacent to low-density residential uses on two sides. So you have single-family here, which is actually a single-family residential subdivision, and you have two single-family residential dwellings here. The area has a mixture of residential, commercial, as well as industrial land uses. It appears that it is an unplanned area. Subject property presently is serving is vacant and is serving as a buffer between the single-family residential subdivision to the south and the industrial uses to the north. Those uses being budget mini storage and warehouse, as well as you have one source heating and cooling. Across Old Highway 31 is a Great American Tent Company to the east. So the subject property consists of two lots on a total of 2.16 acres. This is just an aerial of the site. And so the subject property, it's surrounded on three sides, to the north, to the south, to the west, by the Gardendale jurisdiction. And as mentioned in the pre-meeting, you have the residential Eccles Road residential subdivision to the south, and only one of those parcels within this subdivision is actually in the unincorporated county. The MLS multiple listing service that is marketing the site on a real estate broker's website. This shows you is that this property is presently, or at one time, it was being marketed for residential use. This is the applicant's site plan. It consists of a proposed conceptual site plan, 2,400 square foot principal building, 3 off-street parking spaces, a 100 square foot storage building, a room for a stormwater detention pond. There would be a septic tank. The two lots would have to be resurveyed into one. And of course, this property would have primary access off of Old Highway 31. And public sewer is not available to this site. Therefore, the private septic is required. Staff is recommending approval, Mr. Chairman, with 3 conditions. Condition number 1, limiting the use to an office warehouse with outdoor storage and C1 zone district uses. 2, installation of a 15-foot visual screen along the southern property line, which, and then there's subsequent criteria. I think that will be imposed at some point just prior to the county commission if this rezoning is approved in terms of the visual screen. Condition number 3, protect the existing dry stream bed, which presently serves to collect and redirect stormwater away from the subject site. So protection of the dry stream bed, I think the standard language that we've used in the past is 25 feet on either side. But I will, again, point out that on the applicant's site plan, in the area of that dry stream bed, they are proposing a stormwater detention pond here that would serve to collect stormwaters from the site in its entirety. And that's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Is the applicant present? Would you like to add anything to Mr. Brown's presentation? No. Okay, thank you. Is there any opposition to this rezoning case? So if the applicant would come up, I think we might have a couple of questions for you. And name and address, if you would, please.
Name is DJ Seeley. Address is 7628 Sardis Grove Lane in Gardendale.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Seeley. So I had a couple of questions. Did you hear the recommendations from staff?
Yes.
And are those acceptable to you? Or do you have any questions about that?
I do have questions. So the current property line is not maintained. It's just wooded overgrowth. Could I just leave that wooded overgrowth there and start my clearing at your buffer? Or do I have to clear that and then landscape it and fence it?
You could leave that vegetated, but we would need to strike that particular recommendation from, because that would speak to the contrary. Actually, living it naturally is preferred.
Okay. So the condition would change to leave a natural 15-foot buffer?
That's already required in ordinance, doesn't need to be a condition.
Okay. All right, very good. You got that?
Which one did you talk about striking, Michael? Number two?
Number two.
Okay.
All right. What other questions do you have, Mr. Seeley?
So my option would be maintain 50-foot natural or 15 feet of planned.
Correct. It would either have to be 15 feet either less natural or 15 feet that you...
No, it's not 15.
15, not 15.
It's still 15 feet
15.
either way.
Very good. Okay. Understood.
Anything else?
No.
So you're good with the other two conditions?
Can we elaborate on protecting a dry stream bed? Just don't touch it?
Don't fill it.
Okay.
Typically, you may want to include legislation like 25 feet from the stream bed.
From the center line?
Natural, yeah, 25 feet from the stream bed is natural on either side. From the list of recycling, you weren't going that into the property.
Yeah, I had no intention.
Okay, so you protect 25 feet either side from the center line of the stream?
Yes.
Okay, got that? All right, anything else?
I would like a little clarity on the size of this property. On the screen, it says, like, I think 1.06 acres, but in my notes or book here, it says 2.16. 1.08.
You want to answer this?
1.08 is just one lot. So
Oh, okay. I didn't, okay.
It's
Gotcha.
currently 2 parcels. I didn't want to go through the expense of having it resurveyed and resubmitted until I got the zoning approval. So once the zoning approval is made, assuming it is,
Understandable.
I'll have it resurveyed and combine those 2 lots into one.
Makes complete sense. All right, gotcha.
You good, Mr. Cush?
Yeah, I'm good.
Any other conditions in there, or just what you heard is fine? All right. All right. Last call. Any other questions or comments from the commissioners? All right.
I have one.
Yes, please.
The extreme living through the property, would you, right,
The stream's at the far west.
so it would not be, in construction area at all, right?
Correct.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? All right. Mr. Seeley, thank you. We're going to go ahead and, having no opposition, no more questions or comments, may I have a motion, please?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion we approve Z24-0033 with the following recommendations. Number one, we limit the use to a contractor's yard with outside storage in C1 zone district use. And 3, protect the existing dry stream bed which presenting, serving, collecting, and redirecting stormwater away from the subject line with a 25-foot buffer from the center of the bed.
And that's 25 feet either side?
Either side.
Okay. All right. I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right. Motion passes. Our next zoning case is Z24-0035. Mr. Brown?
Yes, sir. So, Mr. Chairman, this is a rezoning request from agricultural to institutional one to allow a church or religious institution. Property is located at 690 Pineview Road as well as 4331 Valley Road in the Trustful area. The applicant is Brian Presnell of 44 Engineering Design. So this property falls within the Cahaba River watershed, and there is a stream that, like the previous application, rezoning application, that flows through this site. It's a 5 to 10 foot wide hidden stream, and hidden stream is not the description of it. Hidden stream is actually the name of the stream. And so waters that, this is an active stream bed, by the way, and so those waters that flow through this stream come from Poplar Spring, which is just to the west of the site. The county's long-range future land use plan does not provide a land use designation for this property, so we make a determine of whether the proposed use is consistent with the area by the surrounding existing uses. So what are the existing site conditions? This property to the east, it has very steep topography. So there are 10-foot contours, ranging from 850 feet at Valley Road all the way up to 950 at the Pineview Road part of the site. So again, it's within the Cobble Water Rivershed. Hidden stream bisects the northwest quadrant of the site here. There are 2 lots that make up the subject property, a total of 4.83 acres. And this property, it sits between 2 mobile homes here as well as here. But primary access would be off of Pineview Road and not Valley Road. Excuse me. All right, so this is just an aerial of the site. I'll keep going. This is the applicant's site plan. So as I already mentioned, the site consists of 2 acres, total 4.83 acres. Primary access is from Pineview Road. 107 off-street parking spaces are proposed, as well as on-site sewer disposal, on-site stormwater detention pond. There are 15-foot buffers proposed on 3 sides, to the north, to the south here, as well as to the west. This site is required to connect to public sewer, as it is approximately 233 feet from an existing sewer main. So at the very bottom of the site plan, I indicate that there are some site plan issues. Well, of course, as we have with previous rezoning applications, we want to protect this stream. And right now, the applicant's site plan is showing that the parking lot that it is or would be constructed over the stream. Perhaps there are some civil engineering devices that the applicant's engineer can come up with, but right now, this is, again, it's an active stream, and the waters that flow through it come from Poplar Spring to the west. And I'm not sure what the answer is here, but you can bring the applicant up to talk about preservation of that stream. The steepest part of this site plan is here along the Pineview River Road area, and so what we're suggesting here is that in addition to the buffers, that there be vegetation along these steep slopes to help stabilize the site from runoff. Existing vegetation and or new vegetation or landscaping, if you will. This is just an illustration of the proximity of the existing sewer main, which is here along Kayla Drive, to the subject property, which is here. According to Environmental Services, it's about 233 feet from the site. Wrapping up here, Mr. Chairman, the staff is recommending approval of this rezoning application with 2 conditions. Condition number 1, hidden stream located in the northwest quadrant of the site, that it be protected against encroachment with 25-foot buffers or other civil engineering devices proposed by the developer's engineering. Number 2, steep slopes adjacent to Pineview Road shall be stabilized with existing and or proposed vegetation. And that's all I have for you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Is the applicant present? All right, thank you. Anything you'd like to add to Mr. Brown's presentation? Okay. Any opposition to this rezoning case? Okay. You got to come up. You got to come all the way up and give us your name and address, and then we'll be happy to hear your question and help you get it answered.
Hi, my name is Sherilyn Osborne.
Welcome.
I own property at 4281 Valley Road. So that's like down the hill from Pineview. I'm concerned about, my question is about the water from all these constructions coming down on Valley Road, because Pine View is up here. I'm down here on Valley, and water already flow down in that area.
So they're proposing a stormwater
Who?
I'm not sure. You say your property's along Valley?
Mm-hmm, 4281,
So,
4285 Valley Road.
So you're just to the south of the site.
Yeah.
Go this direction. Opposite of Trussell YMCA?
Yes,
Yeah. So you're here to the south.
so it will not affect 4281.
Well, what I'm saying is that there's stormwater retention transactions in the water. I don't know what you're proposing in terms of runoff. See, the water that flows currently, it flows from Pine View down the Valley Road this direction. So it actually, the water presently flows in the direction of the proposed stormwater retention. I don't know that they have any plans for stormwater runoff coming your direction.
So we'll have the applicant come up and talk about it too, to get some answers to your questions, okay?
Okay, thank you.
But we understand your concerns, it's ours as well. So is there anyone else that has any questions or opposition? So name and address to start, please.
I'm Delilah Killian, and the property that I have is 4103 Valley Road. And I was just wondering the same question, how would it affect our property?
Okay, from a water runoff standpoint?
water runoff.
Okay. All right, we'll get some answers for you, too. Come up so we can hear you, okay, please?
Where would the access road be to this property that they're proposing?
It's only, you can see up there on the map, right there where the laser is, it's just on Pine View, it's not going to be on Valley Road.
Pine View.
Pine
Okay,
View's on
so
the
it won't
right.
have
Valley's on
any
the left.
access on Valley, right?
No, it will not.
Is it?
Okay, all right. Did y'all get all your questions in you wanted? Okay, anyone else? All right, would the applicant come up and start off with your name and address, please, for us?
I'm Brian Presnell, civil engineer. Address is 1703 McConnell Lane, Mount Olive. It's my understanding, I mean, from what I know, that both of the neighbors are south of this property, is that correct? And the stream is heading to the north, so there would not be any of our site water that would be heading in their direction.
So the runoff is in the direction towards your property and away from their property, correct?
That's correct. They're probably actually draining onto our property to some extent.
Okay.
So.
All right, and you're familiar with the county regulations for drainage, right?
Yes.
Would you recap them for me just real quick, just
Well,
for their?
Yeah, that our post-development runoff has to be less than or equal to our pre-development, which is legal.
So that means whatever runs off their property now, before they build construction, it cannot be any greater. So if there's any additional runoff, they have to keep it on property. That's what the detention pond's for. So if they have any extra runoff, it's going to be going towards the YMCA, not towards your property anyway. But it can't be greater than what it is already. They have to. That's why they have the detention pond to hold it, so it doesn't flow off the property.
And also, in addition, the county requires us to do water quality, so we have to clean the first inch of rain before it leaves the site. So.
Could you tell us about the creek that flows through your parking lot? How are you going to handle that?
Well, this is very preliminary layout, and it is, just in general, there's a lot of flexibility that could happen. We have not evaluated that 100%, but we know that it is a concern. So I would, just ask that. I'm not sure what the find the wording here about the civil engineering devices proposed by the developer's engineer. I'm not sure exactly what all that might entail, but I would just ask that we leave it available that we could, if we go through the proper permitting, to be able to pipe or relocate that stream if needed because of the location of where it is on the site.
Mr. Brown, that's not a floodplain, is it? No. Okay. Okay, very good. Okay. So
I do have a question about the sewer, though. I was not aware that it was that close, but that appears that it would take some coordination with neighbors to get that over there, and
Yep.
so I'm not sure that's feasible for us to connect to the sanitary. That's why we were showing on-site sewer on the site, because I'm not sure legally we would ever be able to make it over there.
okay. Mr. Brown, you have some remarks?
That was the recommendation from the environmental services. If that needs to change, if the zoning is approved, we'll have to negotiate with the environmental services to provide private post-water.
Okay. Any concerns from the Health Department representative, Mr. Andrews? Thank you. You have any other questions for us?
I do not. No.
Okay.
Just my
Let's
question
see.
for me.
Any commissioners have questions for the applicant? Okay. Thank you. I'll close the public hearing. And is there any discussion? All right. Hearing none, may I have a motion, please?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion we approve Z24-0035 with the following recommendations. The hidden stream located in northwest quadrant of the site shall be protected against encroachment with a 25-foot buffer or other civil engineer devices proposed by the developer engineer, and steep slopes adjacent to the Pine View Road shall be stabilized with existing and/or proposed vegetation.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, motion passes. So that concludes our zoning cases for today. We do have some more, but just a reminder for the zoning cases, our decisions today were recommendations to the county commission. The county commission will make the final ruling at their next meeting, and you'll be noticed when that meeting is to be held. So now we have a couple of different things coming up. We have a special use permit request, and we have 2 site plan and building exterior design reviews. As chairman, I need to recuse myself from the signed use permit request today, so I'm going to be quiet and let Vice Chair Miller handle this case, and then I'll pick back up.
All right, Ms. Hughes, could you present 240010M Mike-SIG and sign? Please?
Yes, sir. This property is located at 6495 Rock Mountain Lake Road in the McCalla area. The owner is Rock Mountain Lakes Baptist Church, and the applicant is Stephanie Smith with Reliable Sound Services. This is a request to allow an on-premise electric message center sign, also known as an EMC sign, to be permitted along a road that is not designated as a state or U.S. highway. And the reason for this is currently the way our zoning regulations is written, the only way it is permitted is by the approval of the Planning and Zoning Commission. If you look here to the left, this is the current zoning. The property is currently zoned institutional. It is owned by a church and is located between 2 churches here at the property. Across the street from the property to the east and actually to the west, we have the A1 zone district. Over on the area, it shows that there's a residence right here that's probably the closest residence to the sign. Just want to point that out. There is an existing monument sign here at the location. You'll see that where it says before. And the existing monument sign is approximately 50 square feet. The applicant is proposing an additional 21 feet to the right, which says after, and it's an electronic message center sign, making it a total of 71 square feet. Unfortunately, in the institutional zone district, the maximum that's allowed is 60 square feet. Here I have the conceptual development plan. If you look to the left, you'll see the measurements of the sign. And here to the right, you'll see the site plan. It shows this house that I was speaking of, and it shows the sign. And if you notice, the sign is kind of angled to the northeast, so it's not directly towards the house. This is a street view, and this is just a brief summary and recommendation. A special use permit is required for any EMS sign that's not along a state or a U.S. highway. The zoning parcel is institutional. The maximum is 60 square feet that's allowed. And as I mentioned earlier, 50 is what's there and 21 is what they're proposing. A variance will be required for the 71 square feet. When I did the measurements, the sign shows it is approximately 275 feet from the A1 zone district and approximately 330 feet from the nearest resident. Per Roads and Transportation recommendation, the proposed sign location is approved as illustrated, but the site distance must be verified by the applicant to ensure that the site distance does not impair road users on the Rock Mountain Lakes Road. The proposed EMC sign is one side and is being purchased by the fire department to provide information to the neighborhood. Staff is recommending approval with the condition that the variance is granted from the Board of Zoning Adjustment for the 71 square feet. That's all that I have.
Thank you. Is the applicant here? Is there any opposition to the sign? Would you like to add anything to her proposal? Any questions from the commissioners? One thing I'd like to ask you is it a daylight dark sign? Your name and address, please.
My name is Anthony Zelinskas. Address is 6355 Old Tuscaloosa Highway. It's going to be for the fire department at 915 Lakeside Drive, McCalla Area Fire District in Rock Mountain Lakes community. Yes, it does have the auto dimming feature, so it will dim, and we can also turn it off at night, 10 o'clock.
Is that your proposal to turn it off at night?
We're actually looking at just dimming it because it's going to be a public service announcement as well. So we're going to leave it on, but have it dimmed.
It does dim at night?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. Any questions for any of the commissioners? At this time, I'd like to call for a motion.
All right, Mr. Vice Chairman, I'd like to make a motion for approval on case number 240010, Emerson Mike dash sign, with the condition that a variance is granted by the Board of Zoning Adjustment to allow the 71 square feet monument sign.
Second.
I have a motion to approve and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chairman. Our next case, we're in the site plan and building exterior review, design review, is Z2018040. Ms. Hughes?
Yes, sir. This property is located at 4681 Bell Hill Road in the Bessemer area. The owner is Legacy Community Federal Credit Union, and the applicant is Ulysses Eaton. This request is for approval of a site plan and a building exterior design in accordance with the existing restrictive covenants. I have an area view here of the property that's in question, which is Lot 3. I don't know if you can see that very well, but this is where the proposed credit union is going to be. This is Lot 2, where you guys approved the Holiday Inn maybe a year or a few ago. It's along Bell Hill Road, and this property is directly across from the Letson Farm subdivision. Here's the conceptual development plan, which shows a 3,151 square foot credit union that's included the ingress and egress point along Bell Hill Road. The lot shares of the parking, the lot has 22 parking spaces, including 2 handicap and 1 being van accessible. It's 5 feet of additional right-of-way from the sidewalk construction along Bell Hill Road. The site plan also shows the proposed structure that complies with the 35-foot land setback requirements. And what I want to point out here, the covenants. The first one is the 5 feet additional right-of-way shall be along Bell Hill Road. And I don't know if you can see this, but this is that 5-foot setback right here for covenant 1. So it satisfies that. Number 2, the eastern access drive on Lot 2 shall align with the Lessons Farm Parkway, subject to approval of the Department of Roads and Transportation, and shall serve as a joint access for Lots 2 and 3. And that would be right here. So that would satisfy covenant 2. The third one, the site plan and the building exterior design on Lots 2 and 3 shall be approved by the Planning and Zoning Commission. Lot 2 has already been approved, and this is the architectural renderings for Lot 3, the credit union. I have the east and west elevation, and then we have the south and north elevation. And these are just a few pictures in the area. This is to the west of the hotel that's existing and was approved by the Planning and Zoning Commission June 13, 2019. This is directly across the street, so this will be the south. This is Letson's Farm. This is to the north of it, which will be the right-of-way to I-459. And that's all that I have for you.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Hughes.
Pretty much the submittal is consistent with the requirements of the covenants.
Okay.
Do you have any questions for me?
Thank you, Ms. Hughes. Is the applicant present? Welcome, thank you. Any opposition for this case? I'm not even sure if I'm supposed to call for opposition. So, but, okay. All right, very good, thank you. I rescind my call for opposition. So any discussion from the commissioners or questions for the applicant?
We're reviewing this for what the building looks like, and the covenant that says both lots were to have a single drive access. That's what we're reviewing today.
No, we're reviewing the architecture of it as well.
Right, and there are the covenants there.
That's what I said.
Yes,
In my terms, sorry. I'm an engineer. What the building looks like.
Yes.
The building looks like.
Sorry about that. I don't judge code.
Okay, so,
And I saw this.
so everybody good?
Build this.
Got it.
All right, could I have a motion, please?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion, we approve Z 2018-040, the architectural plans as presented.
Second.
All right, I have a motion second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion passes. Thank y'all. Congratulations. Our last case for today is Z 2022020. Ms.
Yes,
Hughes?
sir. This property is located at 4476 Bell Hill Road in the Bessemer area. The owner is UABRN USA Incorporated, and the applicant is Brian Fresnel. The request is for approval of a site plan and architectural renderings in accordance with the existing restrictive covenants. Here's the area view of this property. It's a proposed gas station with a C-store. It's directly to the east of the Letson's Farm subdivision, and it's across the street from the new UAB West. Here's the conceptual development plan. What they're proposing is a 5,808-foot square C-store. They're proposing 6 gasoline pumps, 26 parking spaces, including 2 handicap spaces, 1 being van accessible. They show that they meet the 35-foot setback requirements, and the gasoline pumps comply with the 15-foot setback. Here are the architectural renderings. We have the front elevation, right side elevation, left side elevation, and the rear elevation. And here's the architectural renderings that were submitted for the C-store.
Okay, thank you,
And the
Ms.
submittal is consistent with the requirements of the covenants.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Hughes. Is the applicant here? Is there any opposition to the case? I did it again, didn't I? Sorry. Hard habit to break. Any questions for the applicant?
You're a busy man today.
So I'm going to help you get closer to the door. I'd like to ask you a question.
All right.
You got to tell us who you are first.
Brian Presnell,
And you live?
1703 McConnell Lane, Mount Olive.
All right, thank you. I appreciate that. So this rendering was not in our package, so I just wanted to ask you a question. Is that what it's going to look like essentially?
Essentially, yes. This is another store that by the same owner. I think if you look at the elevation drawings, the black and white elevation drawings compared to this, there may be a few more windows on the front, but aside from that, it is going to look very similar to that.
Same color scheme?
Yes.
Okay. All right, thank you. I appreciate that. Any other questions?
I guess now I have a question. So, Mr. President, when do they expect to begin construction if it moves forward? What's the construction timeline?
We are in the process of finalizing the civil plan approval.
Right.
And and we're still working through some health department items because this is on-site sewer for septic, and so once we get those done, the owner is ready to go.
I imagine you'd like to have it done pretty soon since the hospital's finished now.
Yeah, that's awesome.
He's pushing me very hard.
Yes.
Just for information, we have not received applications.
For the building permit? Okay.
he'd like to see it open too.
Well, the architect's here, so he knows also.
Okay, all right, very good. I think it's all our questions, and you don't have to go back all the way to the back if you don't want to. But
I've got stuff back here.
okay, all right. I believe that concludes our questions and comments. Could I have a motion on this case, please?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve the site and architectural plans for Z 2022-020 as presented.
Second.
All right, I have a motion second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All right, motion, anyone opposed? All right, motion passes. That concludes the business for today. We're adjourned. Have a good afternoon.